Hello, how are you doing today? This is your girl Kendra, and I've got what I think is an important topic that I may touch on more than just this video. I'm not sure. It kind of depends on how everything goes or whether or not I'm able to complete the thought. I have been thinking a lot about, of course, the behavior of the modern Black woman. And I talk a lot about her dealings in relation to men, whether that be romantic or not. And while those things that I talk about are relevant and they're true, I think I need to touch on again how these things come to be. Because they don't magically happen, right? It's not magic. It's not by some unlucky chance. The modern ladies that we see today, Black ladies, Black women, and how they think, how they move, how they behave, has a manufacturing process. And of course, many of us already understand the societal manufacturing process, the socialization in school, the effects of feminism, that sort of thing. But I want to go a little bit further down, closer to the root, because many of us as young Black girls learn very important and many times damaging lessons directly from our mothers. Black women, mothers, not all, of course, because there are good mothers out there who take very good care of their children in every respect. But more often than not, that's not quite the case. And we speak a lot here in the Black Manosphere, to which I am an honorary member, and I know that. We speak a lot about how the mothering, the treatment, the behavior of mothers affect the sons, which is important to talk about because Black men are made too. And it has its own effect when their mothers are not necessarily women that they can look to as the example of womanhood and femininity, what they should be looking for in the women in their lives. And you would think in this gynocentric, feminist-driven world that a mother would sort of coddle her daughter and or play favorites with the daughter rather than the son. But you would be incorrect. You would be incorrect. Many of us have a lot of strain and unresolved issues and resentment towards our mothers. And one of the reasons that we have the issues that we do when it concerns formulating bonds, having trust issues, having a wall up that most men can't seem to breach, having these emotional outbursts, or having expectations that don't quite fit the situation that we are in. We get all of that, most of it, the root of it, from the damaged and usually strenuous relationship between ourselves and our mothers, because we are not being raised as the love of like her life. She doesn't look at us, our mothers don't look at us as a reflection of them in a good way. Many times our mothers profess love for us, but they don't like us very much. You see what I'm saying? We're not actually liked by our mothers. Our mothers many times resent even our birth or presence. And the more crueler of them will let us know that. They'll tell it to us. We often become our mother's crutch and her emotional punching bag. She resents our presence because we remind her of the youth she cannot recapture. And instead of helping us to blossom into a better woman, she works diligently to obstruct and deter the fruition of our womanhood. And she works not to be the example of womanhood to us. So many of us are left without a proper female role model, okay? However, she is still our mother. And many times we will pattern ourselves after her, even in her destructive behavior, because we end up not seeing it as destructive. And I'll get to that later. Because a lot of times our mothers, due to her bitterness, due to her jaded view of the world, of relationships, of men, and her despising of her own womanhood, for whatever reason, she transfers all of that to us. And we are to shoulder the burden of it. And many of our mothers are not happy unless we are unhappy in our lives. They do not like to see us break away from their model, or to think differently, or to do anything differently. You know, a lot of times we are berated for our natural disposition as females. And I'll try to clarify these points, because I never have anything written down for these videos. These are always off the hip. I just feel like it's more natural that way. But getting back to the point, our mothers work to deter our femininity. and our womanhood. And because she's our mother and she must be right, and I'm speaking from a little girl, not as a grown woman, but as a little girl, your mother is correct even when she is not. Many of us are our mothers, like I said before, her crutch and her emotional punching bag. She will rob us of our childhood by foisting upon us the responsibilities of her household. If there are any siblings, if we happen to be the oldest or one of the oldest children, we are expected to raise her children or to assist her in raising her children. Okay? Children we did not make, children we did not ask for, and that are not our responsibility in that way. She will require us to help her raise them. I raised my siblings, and I was forced into that situation because of my mother's inability to be emotionally available to her children. She had other issues. Drugs was among them. She was abusive in her language. She was physically abusive. She was emotionally abusive. And simultaneously, she was a victim of her circumstances. And my mother wasn't a single mom. We knew our father. She lived with our father. She was married to him. Their relationship was tumultuous and full of vitriol and violence. But she was not a single mother for all intents and purposes. But she still resented us, and she specifically resented her daughters. And my mother, in this case, made no bones about telling us that her sons were more important to her than her daughters. Not that she did right by them either. She was emotionally abusive to them as well. But in her mind, they were her favorites. And we were not. And she would tell us that that she doesn't like other females, including her daughters. She doesn't like other women. And we looked like our father. Our brothers looked like her. And so that was a major play in her disdain for us. She simply did not like being around us. Now, she won't say that now. If you ask her, she won't say that. She'll deny that. But it is true, nevertheless. We were told many times how she couldn't stand us because we not only looked like our father, we acted like our father. We have his personality more or less, especially me. And I was the oldest girl. So I took the brunt of her abuse. Whenever she wasn't having a good day, I was all kinds of bitches and hoes and motherfuckers and, whatever came to mind. And this started when I was 6, 7 years old. So again, I'm coming at this as a little girl, not with the viewpoint of a grown woman. But this is what we go through with our moms when we're young. They don't like us very much. And they teach us destruction. Because she told us that she didn't like women. Consequently, we learned not to trust or like other women. That women were not to be trusted at all. And they were only to be tolerated momentarily. And if you could avoid the company of women, please do. And that alone teaches us how not to create bonds. And many times that manifests itself as a blockade for creating bonds with men as well, because we don't trust anyone. Because think about it. If your own mother, who you spent 9 months in her womb, she brought you forth into this world under great pain. She reared you from an infant into childhood, into adulthood. She claimed that she loved you and simultaneously loathed your very existence. This is a breaking of trust at the most fundamental level that you can break it. Because your actions, as juxtaposed right next to your words, and they are quite different. I love you, yet I will verbally berate you. And they also instill a sense of shame and a sense of guilt. We undergo a lot of guilt trips. Black girls, their mothers put guilt trips on them. Ooh, the guilt trip, the guilt trip. If you don't sacrifice your childhood for her and under the guise of helping her, and she's just trying to make it through, and she's just trying, if you don't do that, you are the worst, scummiest, laziest, most disrespectful human being that have ever walked this earth. And you're selfish. And but I'll leave that for a moment. She breaks trust with us. If your own mother doesn't like you, and anything that you do that she doesn't like will cause her to emotionally punish you, like she'll distance herself from you, or she will disapprove of you, or she will in some way make you feel like you have failed her. That is the emotional punishment that I'm talking about. She teaches us that if you don't do the smallest thing that she wants done, then you will be emotionally punished for having not done it. And so as we get older, it goes through our minds as females that we are accustomed to being emotionally punished for not doing what other women want us to do. And we don't like that experience because women are social creatures. And we like the approval of other women, or at least the approval of those in our group. We do not like to be scolded, and we do not like to be shunned. So this is where that whole concept of women nest in environments, that is what that is. We don't like going against the grain because it outcasts us. And we don't like to be outcasts. But our mothers train us on outcasting and how that feels. And we don't like that feeling because it makes us feel alone. Like we have no recourses. We have no one to turn to. We have no one who will understand our thought process or our emotions. And so the trust is broken. We don't trust that anyone actually loves us because your own mother does it. She does it. And so that'll translate over into the men in our lives. This is why we have such trust issues a lot of times, and we will react when you seem to not answer us. You won't answer the phone, you won't answer the text, you won't pay us attention. And I'm talking about when we're actually in relationships with you. This is why a lot of us can't handle it, because it feels like outcasting, like we are being shunned if we make a misstep, or if we say something or do something that you don't particularly approve. We feel like you will leave, because our mothers have done it. Our mothers have emotionally abandoned us, even if she did not physically abandon us. She will emotionally withdraw. And so when we see the emotional withdrawal, many of us will overreact. It's like, well, why didn't you answer? Well, what's going on? Well, what's happening? Well, you know what I'm saying? Is, a lot of us don't have a lot of control over our emotional state because we didn't learn control. And it's difficult to hone or master that after adulthood. So we have issues with that trust thing. We don't trust that you quite like us, guys, because our own mothers don't. So how can you? You don't. As far as we're concerned, deep down, you don't like us. We're always expendable. We're always, you can do without, because we've been taught that we're expendable. And we've been taught that by our mother. She's taught us that we are expendable pieces of nothing that are there to carry out her every whim and be her emotional punching bag and or mule. See, we are to carry her burdens. All of her pain, her bitterness, her disdain at the world, her frustrations with herself and with her circumstances, we are to bear that burden for her. Okay? And we are guilted and shamed if we don't want to. You see? She'll cry. She'll be the victim. She'll yell at us. She will sometimes fight us. She'll fight us. Not every mother goes to the physical violence, but a lot of hood mamas will do it. Yeah. They'll smack you dead in your face. Smack you right in your face. Punch you. Kick you. I've been punched. I've been smacked. I've certainly been degraded verbally. Just just cut down. That's another thing that our mothers do to us. Cut us emotionally. Cut our self-esteem. They'll cut us. You know, from as young as I can remember, I've been told I wasn't shit. Not shit. You'll never be shit. You know, no man will ever love or want you because you're not shit. You're stupid. And I know that all you want to do is be fast and get out here with these boys. But you're not going to do it. And I'm going to make sure. And when you tell an 8-year-old girl or a 7-year-old girl or a 10-year-old girl that basically you despise her and she'll never be anyone to anyone, that she will not have love, which translates into she will not have acceptance. Okay? And I told you just a little while ago that women are social creatures and we do not like being outcasted by our group. But, and I'm trying to keep my thoughts straight here because I want to paint a clear picture. Our mothers don't tell us how to be women. She doesn't tell us her mistakes. She doesn't tell us her story. We aren't able many times to express ourselves to her without being shamed for having done it. But she understands it perfectly because she's a female. So she knows what we're talking about. She knows what we are feeling, how things are making us feel. She knows. She's not oblivious to this. She's, like I said, she's a female herself, so she understands perfectly. Which is how she emotionally manipulates us. It's an emotional manipulation. She becomes a puppet master to us. But we are unable to unload our concerns, our fears, our worries to her and have her to sort of console us or reassure us of anything. She's very secretive about everything. And any threat to that secrecy or, anything she views as the best way I can put it is when she sees us coming into our womanhood, it almost threatens her. She becomes angry about that. She becomes angry about that. And she takes her anger out on us. I don't know. There might be a part 2 to this because I need to gather my thoughts a little more. This is incomplete. This may go on for a couple of videos because it needs to be fleshed out how our mothers transfer all of her ills and her bitterness and everything to us. We're taught not to trust or really love anything. even though we have it, we have the capacity to love, and we want to, we do, and it's stolen, I think, from us. That natural willingness to give of ourselves. She actually teaches us that it's wrong. Yeah, it'll probably be a part 2. I'm going to gather my thoughts a little bit more on this because this is not done. And I hate to leave something so incomplete. But I'll revisit it. I'll revisit this. Thank you for listening to it. I'll come back.